agenda for the day. Welcome. Our first meeting of 2021, and a happy new year to everybody. Do we have any guests today? I don't think so. No. Cynthia, I believe, is a guest. So welcome, Cynthia. Good to, we can't see you, but good to have you with us. The board of directors for our club is the same as they've usually been for the last 2 3/4 years. We have our elections coming up in April, and assuming we can work it out online, we can have elections this year and see if there's some new folks who'd like to step forward. For those,
I have a comment about this is Cynthia. This is my status as a guest. Who do I send my membership information to?
Oh, okay. Then we won't welcome you as a member. Or as a guest. We'll welcome you as a member. Thank you.
Okay, who do I contact to?
I will send you just a second, Cynthia. I see you in here.
Yeah.
I will send you information, Cynthia.
Thank you, JJ.
Okay. So please start thinking about whether or not you would like to step forward and be a volunteer on our board of directors for the 2021-22 and going into 23. It's a 2-year term of office, and you can nominate yourself or nominate one of your friends here in the club. But we'll get into that next meeting and the meeting after that. Special interest advisors remain the same. If you have any interests or questions in these various areas, please contact these folks. And the food at the bottom, for those of you not familiar with this, when we met as a club in person, a number of people in the club would get together and go out for lunch, a late lunch after the meeting, sort of organized on the fly. We can't really do that while we're meeting virtually, but one of these days, hopefully we'll get back to the meeting room. Volunteers, JJ is our club founder. Lester's not with us today, and he hasn't had to set up the room for a while, so that's good. Mike's our newsletter editor, and JJ helps him with that. And Liz is President Emeritus and has been very active in supporting our hospitality at our picnics and Christmas parties in the past, and hopefully will in the year to come. Start off with the business meeting, and the subject today is show and tell, giving everybody a chance to show off the new tech toys they got for holidays or bought for themselves. It's always interesting to see what people come up with. A lot of new stuff out there, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we have today. Future meetings. Excuse me. We meet on the second Saturday of every month. We're meeting virtually starting at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. When we meet in person, we've been starting a little earlier at 12:30, but for the time being, 1 o'clock seems to work out for people, so we'll continue that through at least until we start going back to meeting in person. Each of those dates is the second Saturday of the month. So at least we're avoiding the back and forth that we had when we were competing at the library for the meeting room. Some months we ended up on the third Saturday because of conflicts. At least now we can control our own schedule for the virtual meetings. We'll talk a little bit later about subjects for those meetings, but if you would, just mark your calendars, second Saturday of each month for as far ahead as you care to, and we should be good to go. Reports. Bobby, anything to report?
No.
Oh, okay. Judy, how are we doing money-wise?
We're doing okay. I didn't get the latest bank statement yet, but we have about 2,800 somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. JJ, membership?
No new memberships lately. Last member here again was Dean, joined us from Milwaukee.
Okay.
Other than that, I think we're holding it around about close to 30 active members at this point in time.
Okay,
And JJ, you can send me a membership information too.
Okay,
JJ, did you receive our membership application?
I received your membership application, but I didn't receive dues.
Okay, well, I had asked if we needed to pay them because of what it said, on the
Well,
website.
right now, dues are still $20, but if you pay now, they don't expire until 2021.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
I mean 2022 at this point in time. Because we
Okay.
have the activity. Well, anyhow, yeah.
We
Where do we,
would have
where
asked,
do we,
we would have asked you for them in April anyway, so you're 2 months ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
okay.
You still have my address, club address?
I can look it up online again.
Okay. It's online. It's on the membership application form.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. Linda Kadelka, anything new on the publicity front?
Cynthia, how did you find out about the club?
Cynthia's been coming to our club off and on for a better part of the year.
Oh, she has. Okay. All right. Nothing else new.
Okay,
I think through the library calendar,
Oh, the library. Okay.
all right.
does have a calendar for the whole month, and I
Right.
Now, we're not in the library calendar now, which is why I make a point of we're second Saturday of every month. You don't need to look us up. Be here at 1 o'clock, second Saturday of every month by your Zoom.
I think Phil sent out a notice this morning or yesterday. Every month, the link that you get this month will always be the same because it's a reoccurring event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
finally,
take that- yeah,
I finally got around to that rather than creating a new one each meeting. So if
right.
you don't get the memo, click on that link from the previous email at 1 p.m. on the second Saturday of the month, and chances are you'll find us here.
Yeah, you just take that link and save it into your calendar or something like
Yeah.
that, and then you'll always have the same link.
Okay. Newsletter?
Michael?
I'll defer to you.
For the last 2 or 3 months here again, I've been doing the newsletter. This month I forgot the newsletter. Well, actually the meeting screwed me up because the year started on a Saturday, and I was thinking I was going to send the newsletter to Mike this week, and found out here again that the meeting is this week. So I finished up the newsletter, I think, on Wednesday and put it online. So the last 3 months I've done the newsletter.
Okay. Let me, speaking of the newsletter, let me digress for a minute. When I read the newsletter and saw Dave's article about building his own computer, it reminded me of this cartoon that Bobby Jacobs sent out to everybody. Bobby, that's a great cartoon. And it tied in very nicely with Dave's article about building your own computer. But please read our newsletters. There's lots of stuff in there. JJ and Mike are scouring the internet. They're getting news feeds from APCUG, from other clubs. There's just a lot of interesting articles in there, a lot of information. As I mentioned, Dave Glish has one in there about building your own computer. But if you have some questions that's on your mind, send them to our through our group email, post them to our group through our group email, or send them to editor@lcac.org, and hopefully Mike and JJ can find some articles that would apply to the subject so that everybody can see the question and see the answers.
And Dave, I'd like to thank you. I used 2 of your articles out of your newsletter this month.
Yeah.
Dave's got his mask on. He's not talking to us.
And while you're reading our newsletters, please read our emails, our group emails. It goes out to LCACE members, Google Groups email setup. If you're not receiving these on a regular basis, please get in touch with JJ to double check your email address, because those go out to the email address that he has on file for you. And if you've changed email addresses or you're no longer using this one, you're using a different one, you're not going to see these group emails. So please follow up with JJ if you're not getting them. But here's just some examples. This week, JJ sent out 5 emails.
I think that was this morning.
Yep. But he's been sending out a lot of emails and notifications about online meetings, online training, what other clubs are doing. Here are links to a number of different things you could look up on Learning Chromebooks or participating in some of the meetings from other clubs. We've got some time. If you have some time on your hands, great opportunity to follow up on all of these things. So make sure you're reading our emails. We communicate news about the club, ask for help, ask for input. It's a real help to our club if everybody participates in this, especially now that we're not meeting face to face.
Those I sent out this morning, if the one at the bottom is Tech for Seniors, and that's every Monday at 11 o'clock our time. I've been visiting them every Monday for about the last 3 months. They're up to episode 42 coming up this Monday. I'm also communicating with the group in Sarasota, one in New Jersey, a group in Columbus, Ohio, which meets about every week. I'm communicating with them, and the group out of Oklahoma, along with our APCUG group, which is our group that we're up under. They're coming up with their virtual conference in about 2 months or about a month or so. And I've been putting that online. There is also APCUG has been doing a SIG on Linux, which I've been putting the links on. And it is finished up their virtual conferences or workshop on home automation. But as soon as those videos come about, all of them come about, I will put the links on to those for you to see. But anyhow, I just share information that I get.
Okay, great. Okay, I skipped over the program section on the previous slide because I'd like to talk about it here in terms of old business and new business. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have any old business. Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Member recruitment. JJ has brought this up in the past.
Alexa, mute the TV.
JJ has brought this up in the past. We've had some members move away. We've had some members, for whatever reason, stop coming.
Earlier in the week, I'll get back to you on that.
Judy, could you mute your microphone?
All right, be good. Bye-bye.
Okay, it wasn't you then with the conversation. Okay, never mind. But please be on the lookout for folks who you think might benefit by being a member of our club, or even just encourage people to listen in and give it a try. See if they find something here that would be of interest to them, that would be helpful to them. If family members, friends, neighbors, whoever, kids, have something they might offer, that would be great too, because we're always looking for people who can make presentations on something new or something interesting in the tech area. But as you have opportunities, meeting people at your church, wherever, and they're having problems with their computer, if they have a question, please encourage them to sit in on one of our meetings and then consider becoming a member of the club. On 2021 programs, let me go back one slide, 2 slides. There we go, future programs. We had put together a list back, oh gosh, at the beginning of last year with input from everybody at the club about future programs, things that people thought they might like to learn more about. We've been working our way through this list, but before I get into this list, I'd also like to ask if there's anybody listening in the club, or if you know of anyone who has a skill set or knowledge or is particularly interested in or informed about some aspect of computing. We would welcome someone raising their hand to offer to do a presentation to the club, or introduce us to someone who you think could do a good job in terms of presentation. We had a presentation, for example, a long time ago by Judy's granddaughter, who did a wonderful job on cell phones and talking to us about cell phones. So there's lots of folks out there who know quite a bit about computers that could perhaps bring something to the party. Having said that, and by the way, if you have someone in mind, please get in touch with me. Please get in touch with JJ. Please get in touch with Linda Rolfing at programs@lcace.org, or JJ's at membership@lcace.org. I'm at president@lcace.org. Just drop us an email, give us a call, and we'll try to work that person into the programs. The ones in red are programs that we have completed in the past year. So we've been working our way through this list. Are there anything, and by the way, JJ has discussed with me the fact that there are lots of programs online on YouTube that have been put there by APCUG. He is running across a number of online presentations from these groups that he's been sitting in on through Zoom. So certainly there are a number of programs that we can pull from that list as well, instead of having to come up with our own speaker. Anything on that list to jump out at you as something that you'd like to see on the schedule for the first half of the year?
Bobby?
Well, I've been asked by some friends about how to create your own email folders. I'm not sure whether there's interest in this group, although it did come up on the list. I see it. And says, oh, you mean you have all your emails separated in folders? And I said, yeah, I sure do. But I use Gmail, and I'm certainly not interested in trying another, and I don't have an iPhone, so I can't work with that. So it wouldn't be something that I could do. I could do one on that if there's any interest.
Yeah, Bobby, I'm along with you. I use Gmail, and I also, everything I get in that I want to keep, I put it in folders, and I can go back and find it quickly because of that.
I mean, my question is whether there are people that are coming to these online meetings that are still interested. And if they are, then maybe we should do this. Or if you've never put your things in folders, maybe it's a good time to start. You're home to ignore or organizing, maybe.
Hey,
I'm not, but that's
Bobby, I would be interested.
You know, folders is something that I've always talked about, you know, being a computer. Computer is nothing but a great big file cabinet. And I think I did a presentation last year or year before on scanning. But if you take a computer and set it up like a file cabinet, you know, it's more organized to find things. You know, like got drawer C, B, C, D, whatever. And then you create folders within that drawer to file everything. I'm a photographer, and I've got close to 500,000 pictures. And here again, if I shoot something in 2020, and then I know what the event is, and I put it into that event. I know Mike asked me for pictures from like 10, 20 years ago, and I tell Mike, give me about 10, 15 minutes and I'll find it because of the organization. It's the same thing with email. Like, for example, if I get a bill from Gmail, I put it into my bill folders, and I have something that I'm saving for LCAC, I put it in the LCAE folder. But the computer is basically here again, whether you look at mail or the computer itself, putting things in folders and filing them is a quick way to organize your files, your information, whatever you want to organize. Yes, Bobby.
Another thing that might be that isn't on this list, that since Google is changing some of its ways of holding things, maybe people are interested in organizing, how to organize their photos in Google. And even on their Gmail or Google accounts, because you're going to have less space. So you might want to get rid of some of the things that you don't need anymore, or duplicates, or have them all organized by people or not, or download them. There are lots of different issues of what you would want to do before June. If you're not, even if you're changing, then you want to find what you're going to change to. But if you're going to stay with it, maybe you want to learn more about it.
Well, I think those are good ideas. And we could expand on that really, because JJ had given us a presentation a while back on scanning things into getting all the paperwork that you have in manila file folders and file cabinets and stacked around your house. So we create things on our computers, we store them in file folders, we have email file folders, we have online storage, and how do you have that organized? So we could probably broaden it and cover all of those areas, because the principle's still the same. How do you organize all the stuff we have so we can find it and so we can clean it out? Okay, thanks, Bobby. Good suggestion.
Barbie had her hand
I
up
sort
again.
of think having all of them together might be pretty long. I think not understanding Google folders
Yep.
is something into itself.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I was thinking of this as a two-part series, maybe even a three-part series, but it's organizing your digital life in 2021. No, we couldn't do it all at one time.
No.
This is Cynthia. I used to use PST folders for Outlook, and I haven't transitioned over on this current computer on setting that up. So some pointers might be good on that.
Okay.
PST is a personal, I don't remember what the extension stands for, but it's when you download your email onto your computer and you're not using server space or cloud space. Does anyone else use PST as a file extension for their stored email?
No.
Not in a long time.
I'm way behind times and I probably need to get updated. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, talking about possible programs, I'd like to suggest having a Q&A in March.
Yep.
And a show and tell in June.
Yeah, I penciled in a Q&A in March. April, if we have elections in April, that will take up some time in April. We may, as we get closer to that, decide to combine the Q&A with that rather than take up, if we feel a whole hour would be a little long, but yeah.
I've also reached out to APCUG and I'm trying to get us, with the speaker bureau, I'm trying to get us some speakers for other months during the year.
Okay.
Right now, I'm waiting to hear back from Julie Collier, who is the chairman for APCUG. I've been chatting with her quite a bit lately.
Okay. And we can always use one of the video presentations from YouTube. They run about 45 minutes long, and many of them are very good and very informative. So, okay. Well, if you have some things come to mind, as I said, if you run across somebody or if you personally have some knowledge that you'd care to share with the group, or if you have a friend or a family member or neighbor, please let us know and we'll be more than happy to fit them into the schedule. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to say, just as you were reiterating what you were talking about, feedback. We like feedback on programs. We'd definitely like to get some feedback on the articles in the newsletter. I know
Yep.
Lester gave me feedback on one of the articles about the things to do with your computer, because it gives us an idea that you at least read the newsletter. And this is one thing that Mike's been concerned about for years, is that people don't read the newsletter, but we don't know unless you give us some feedback what you like or dislike about the newsletters.
Okay, thank you. And happy birthday. We have some January birthdays. Roger Bush, Donna Kalnowski, and Tom Krisick. And of course, our own Dolly Parton was born this date in 1946. So,
She was a kid.
yeah, that's right. Looks pretty good for being a elder lady.
That means I'm older than Dolly.
Yep. Okay. And now we can adjourn from our business meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Okay, a second. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Let me stop sharing my screen. And we can go back to the group. Okay, the program today is show and tell. So we're looking for volunteers to share with us what goodies they bought for themselves or got from Santa Claus, and tell us how they work and what you do with them and what you like about them and what you don't like about them. So do we have a volunteer to lead us off? Linda.
Yes, I got my Apple Watch, or Santa brought me Apple Watch. It's complicated. I've used it for walking, which is nice. And there's 3 months free exercises, so I can project them. I have Apple TV also, and I can project it onto my television, which I haven't done yet, but to me, it's complicated. I have a book, and this is something I have to study in the new year. And I have it synced with my phone, which is nice. That's how you set things up with your Apple phone. So mainly I got it because I'm, have to exercise. So, and wish me good luck that I can figure things out. And this wasn't, I have another gadget. This wasn't a Christmas present. I bought this months ago. This is a blower cleaner to clean out my hard drive. It was so dusty. So I took it outside and I blew all the dust out. I got this on, I don't know where I bought it, online somewhere. But it is versatile. It's not only for cleaning the computer. I have, some artificial plants, and I've blown the dust off. Or if there's dust in the corners or whatever, it's a handy gadget. It's not cheap though. But the reason I got it is electronic duster, because these cans you buy for cleaning your computer, the darn things freeze up. They're expensive, but I think this was about $100. Not cheap, but to me, it's a long-term investment, which I've put to good use already. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of this, but I like this duster.
Is that wireless or?
Oh, no, I have a cord.
No, okay.
No, I had a lot of stuff wireless is not, for me, I'm old fashioned. I still like I like the wired. I like the wired, but maybe they have, I don't know how good the batteries, wireless would work, but I'm very happy with it because I'm kind of now we have all this extra time to clean. I get in the corners and clean out dust but mainly for the, keeping my darn hard drive clean.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
What app do you use on your Apple Watch for walking?
Oh, well, on the Apple Watch, on my phone, I have a fitness app. It's a fitness. It has a red circle and yellow and green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all connects. And there is activity. You go in the activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do your indoor walks, outdoor walks. which, tells you the mileage and everything. I walk, 40 minutes is 2 miles. Of course, now it's too cold, but I've used it inside on the treadmill. But to me, the treadmill is so boring. I can't wait till spring comes. But like I say, do you have an Apple Watch, Apple phone too, Ted?
I have both. Yeah, I have
You have
Apple
both.
Watch and iPhone.
Oh, you do.
I've not ever done anything with that activity app.
Which great if you're walking, but like I say, I bought this, I can't remember it. Maybe I got this watch in November, and as of the latter part of December, there was an update to connect 3 months of free exercises.
Okay.
That was offered when I bought the watch, so I got to get busy and get in there and
What version do you have?
for the watch or the phone? The phone, I have 10 XR for the phone.
No, the watch.
But the latest one, which is the 6.
Apple
Yeah,
Watch
I got
6.
I bought the latest.
Okay.
I just got a plain, it's just black. I didn't want anything flashy. I just wanted, afraid of getting robbed if they see this, but just a black, and it's got I bought an extra band. I like it so it's easy to, take off and on, and then to charge it, it's a nice little, it's easy to charge. But like I say, it's an expensive toy. It's very expensive, but I think I went to Best Buy. Can't go to the Apple store. They didn't have a lot of different colors, but I'm satisfied with the black.
Yeah.
But so have you used it for anything else? Ted, what have you used it for?
Well, I'm a heart patient, and I use it for EKG.
I am also a heart patient, and I haven't used the EKG, but yeah, that's one of the reasons I have to exercise. I'm a heart patient. Well, everybody should exercise, but especially heart patients.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't used the EKG, but I was in rehab in the last few months, so I know my heart rate is good. But that is a very good thing to check.
Yeah.
Very good.
Other than that, I use it as a watch.
Yeah. Okay, Ted. Yes.
$400 watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, mine was a little more than that because it's the latest.
How much is the latest one?
Yeah.
How much is the new one?
How much did I pay? About 600, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was like very expensive. 400 to 600 I paid. Yeah, it was very expensive. Like getting another toy. But I said, I have my iPhone XR. Hopefully that's going to last me a few years because I really am happy with my iPhone XR. So I figured I'd get the watch. What the heck? I'm not getting any younger, So
Yeah.
and I enjoyed the toys. Enjoy, yes. I'll let somebody else go. Go ahead.
Bobby?
I was just going to say as a sort of a follow-up to Linda's, if you have a Samsung phone, there's something called Samsung Health, which does have some things on it. What I've been using it for is every morning after I take my class, I take my blood pressure and a whole bunch of other things that are on there so that I actually have a time that I know that I've done it. It tells me how well I'm breathing, whether I'm stressed,
Samsung.
and everything. It doesn't take my blood pressure, but I can record it. It takes care of your sleep. So I just sort of thought that fit in. If you have a Samsung phone, there's a Samsung app called Samsung Health.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to
The health app.
say one other thing about the watch. It will vibrate for a second and then tell me it's time to get up and move around. I like that.
Yeah.
A lot of times I sit too long and okay, got to get moving. Okay.
My Fitbit does that right.
Anyone else? Thank you, Linda.
Welcome.
Everybody, I got one, but I wait till everybody else is done.
Okay, Dean, what'd you get?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Some of you may know I enjoy building kits, and I've always enjoyed anything in electronics. So one of the things that I got, it was probably about a year ago, and I finally decided to build it, was this clock. This is an LED clock. I don't know how well it shows up on here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyhow, each one of these is an LED, and there's actually three LEDs. That's a light emitting diode in each one of these little segments.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of soldering to do on that, and then on the back, I've got some integrated circuits and stuff that had to be soldered. You know, so I enjoy this. We actually have it in our living room. Down in the entertainment center. It's kind of a dark area. So this is actually on dim. It's got a battery backup. And we can just look at it and glance at it and we know what time it is. So when we're watching television or something. So that's one thing that I built.
Dean, did you make that from scratch or? was
Yes.
it Come in kit form?
Well, it was a kit. It was a
Oh,
kit.
okay.
It
Yeah.
came in kit form.
Yeah.
It wasn't very expensive. So
Okay.
I
It's
built a
so-
number of clocks. Yeah. Well,
It shows up nice and clear
Yeah.
when you were the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I built was this. Now, some of you may have noticed if something is spinning and it shows lights or shows a message or something like that. This is also a clock, and it was just a matter of something that I had an interest in building. I'll turn it on in just a second. And it sits on a table. The one thing that I have a problem with is there is a little bit of a vibration that is set up with it. And I would like to get it settled down. They recommend putting a heavier base on it or connecting it to a heavier base. So I'll turn it on and let you see what this looks like. There.
Oh, wow.
It's just warming up
Yeah.
right now. It has
Yeah, yeah,
information on the side.
yeah.
Okay, and on the top, and then it comes with the remote control. So let's see, let's try this. Oh, that's changing something on the side.
Japanese, we can't read it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it does come with you can program it, but I think it's just too much bother to try to program it. This one I thought was kind of cute. That's a little running man, you know. Then they've got the analog clock. I don't know if is it the right side time? 2:30. It's 1:50. Let's see. No, it is not the correct time. Although, yeah, it does not have a battery. Well, yes, it does have a battery backup, but for some reason it doesn't hold the time. I've had it off for quite a while. So,
What's it called?
what is it called?
Just you first.
All the instructions is in Chinese. A stereoscopic and flat rotating LED.
Okay.
To do it yourself. Again, it was a kit,
Mhm.
and I had a lot of fun with it. It took me a few evenings to build because these are all, every segment that's on here there's LEDs and resistors.
Sure.
It's pretty hard to see it, you know, and it's all surface mount technology. So it took a while to build, but I had a lot of fun with it. That's mainly what it was. It's just fun, you know. It really doesn't have a big practical purpose, but the practical purpose, I guess, was the fun that I had in building it. That's all I have. Any questions?
No. Thanks.
Okay. All
Somebody
right.
else?
Anybody else?
Well, I got a couple of things. One wasn't really for holidays. I got a new smartphone. Let's see.
Back it up toward you. Put it in front of you. Put it in front of you. There we go.
Okay. It's a Motorola Moto G Power. And it goes for around $200. Right now it's $219 at Best Buy. The claim to fame on this is it's 6-inch screen. It's full HD, 1080p screen. It's a very nice screen. It's got a mid-range Qualcomm processor. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is unusual for that price point. So it chugs along pretty quickly. It's got a fingerprint sensor here in the back where you can open, turn it. You have to enter a password to open it up, but from then on, when it times out, you can just put your finger on the sensor and it'll open back up. It's got a macro camera and a wide angle camera in addition to the regular camera. It takes nice pictures, and it's got a flash. What else does it have? 64 gigabytes of RAM, which is nice because all my previous cheapo phones had 16 gigabytes and you'd run out of space for apps and so forth. It's really quite nice phone. What else the reason it's called Power is it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery in it. So this thing runs for days. It's a really nice phone. Highly recommended if you're interested in the Android phone. It came out in January of, I think January of 2020. So it came with Android 10. And you'll get it updates probably for a year or two. So that was one of them, but that's a phone and everybody's got a phone. So I'm always on the lookout for a reasonably priced phone because I don't use it a whole lot. And this one is excellent. The other thing I got is something that everybody has seen. Probably many of you have one, but I couldn't resist it because it was half price. So, what can you do? It is this. It is a Google Nest Mini. Okay, it's not one of the fancy Google Nest products. It's just a Google Nest Mini. But this thing is great because you can just ask it a question like, "Hey Google, what's the weather forecast?"
Today in Libertyville, it'll be partly cloudy with a forecasted high of 37 and a low of 25.
And it will play music for you. Hey Google, play Christopher Parkening Radio.
Playing the Pandora station called Christopher Parkening Radio.
These are classical guitars. Hey Google, stop. It will also play a radio station for you. Hey Google, play WFMT 98.7.
Streaming 98.7 WFMT from TuneIn.
Welcome to the WFMT audio stream, co-sponsored by Wintrust. As a family of community banks, Wintrust provides banking
Google,
solutions.
Stop.
How much?
Hey, Phil,
Yeah.
How much it cost?
when you're doing your Google, you're turning mine on and it's playing exactly what you're telling me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
Well, when you set, I'll get back to your question, Ted. But when you set them up, you have the option of training it to respond only to your voice, so that if you're living with somebody and you're chit-chatting and so on, or you have different devices in your home, it will only respond to you. So if Deborah had done that with hers, I wouldn't respond to what she picked up. And I haven't done that with mine, but anyway. What it will also do is, let me show you one other, let me just turn on one more thing here. And
Change the weight.
okay. Hey Google,
You can change that. Too.
play WFMT 98.7 on Den's speaker.
Streaming 98.7 WFMT from TuneIn on Den Speaker.
Welcome to the WFMT audio stream, co-sponsored by Wintrust.
This is
This winter,
my home
join
audio
Wintrust
system.
Platinum Adventures Club for a series of virtual events and learn about estate planning.
So if you have a Chromecast device, for example, you can have it stream music to your TV set or to your hi-fi system or whatever. What was the other thing? You can make calls on this. Hey Google, Call Phil Bach,
Got it. Home or other.
home.
Calling Phil Bach. Home.
So I can talk to myself on the phone. Hey, Google, stop. Okay,
Well, you know what they say about people who talk to themselves.
yeah, that's it. So the point is, it will do an awful lot of things. To get back to your question, Ted, and Google, by the way, has a Google Nest, bigger one with a better speaker in it, so you get better sound and so on. But it basically does the same kind of thing. They have them with screens. And this is like Amazon Alexa, Amazon Show, where you have screens. It's Google's version. I like it because Google is very good at recognizing your questions. I mean, you ask obscure questions and it comes back with an answer right away. A very good search tool. So to get to your question, Ted, for you only, we have a deal. This is regularly $49. But if you scurry over to Best Buy, you can get it for $24.95.
Oh
in,
my God.
In chalk or black, charcoal. It comes in a couple other colors, but it's hard to find them. But for $25, I mean, you know, you can put one in your bedroom, or put one in the kitchen, or put one wherever you want. And it's set up through the Google Home app on your smartphone. Just load Google app, Home app on your smartphone. It identifies this. It links it to your home Wi-Fi network. You connect it to your home Wi-Fi network. It works through your home Wi-Fi network. So those my two inexpensive toys, but they work great and a lot of fun.
I'm an Amazon Echo person. Actually, I have about 4 or 5 of them around the house. There's one sitting on my desk right here in front of me. Luckily, when you were talking to yours, it didn't set mine off like it did Deborah's. As you heard Judy earlier, she was telling the TV to mute, and there's one downstairs in the living room, which is hooked up to my TV and can control the TV. I have one in my office down in the basement. And recently I put a Amazon Plex in the bathroom, which actually has a motion sensor on it. It's supposed to turn the bathroom lights on as you enter the bathroom. So, and basically here again, whether it's Amazon or Google, they all do the same thing. And, you know, it's part of the smart home type thing.
Yeah, the Amazon version of this is the Dot. They're small
right.
speaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have upstairs.
Got 2 dots. I got one upstairs. I got one downstairs.
Okay, that's me. Dean, when you were building things, did you ever build any of those kits they used to have, Heath kits and Radio Shack way back when?
Doesn't matter. I want to look at something I go forward.
Can bring it closer.
You're muted.
Yeah, I was muted there. I used to build some of the small kits that they had at Radio Shack, but I've never built any of the large Heathkit kits.
Yeah, I built an ICO stereo amplifier 50 years ago. You got this box of parts. I mean, they all loose parts. They included transistors and everything else. About 300 steps, and you'd get out your soldering iron and you'd solder this thing together and hope you didn't miss a step. And hey, it worked. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. Bobby?
Yeah, very, very rewarding.
Yeah. Bobby? Go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, okay. I built lots of kits from Radio Shack. I even taught electronics of building, and they thought that I knew how to do everything. My biggest kit was probably a Heathkit radio, which the first time my not then son-in-law came to the house and had to listen to soccer on my radio while he was here because there was a major UK soccer program going on.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I built a clock. It lasted for 20 or 30 years before it finally died. A digital clock that was Heathkit.
Yeah.
It was really very durable.
It's fun doing those things. JJ, you ready?
I love this guest.
You got a cat for Christmas.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, Pussycat.
Full screen. I'm
Bill,
about
what
ready
was
to
the
lose
model
you
number of
guys.
that phone you bought?
I'm sorry?
What was the model number of that Motorola phone that you bought?
Oh, it's a Motorola Moto G. G is in golf, power, Power.
Thank you.
Now, they've just come out with the Moto G Power 2021, just has been released, but that one only has 32 gigabytes of RAM. This one has 64. I don't know what other differences are, but if you do go out and take a look at them, be sure you understand that there's apparently two versions now of the Moto G Power.
Thank you.
Judy, what is that you're making? Aha, okay,
Oh, wow.
yep. Well, we'll look forward to next month to see how much farther along you are. You're muted.
Okay.
You're muted, Judy.
I made 21 Afghans last year, 60 hat and scarf sets,
Wow.
and numerous sweaters and mittens. So this is my pandemic projects.
Yeah, I guess. What do you do with them all?
I've given them a lot. I gave a lot away. We donated most of the hats and scarves to the senior center.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna, if we ever get to meet people again, or some of the organization, I'll give them the Afghans to use as raffle prizes and that to earn money for their organizations.
Yeah. Great. Good. Aha.
It's showing on my screen, but here again, I'm not showing you guys the other screen, which I wanted to. Anyhow, we'll see if we can go through this. All right. It may work, it may not work. You guys should be getting full screen, but it's not. Anyhow, let's see what happens. My toy box this year, this is not the way I really want to show it, full screen, is 2020. I think I did this before a couple years ago.
Yep.
But this year in my toy box, I got the Fitbit Sense, Stream Deck, Atari VCS. And the last two I'm not going to really talk about. We'll talk about those. As I said, we'll do a show and tell hopefully in June. But first of all, we'll talk about the Atari VCS. As you all know, Atari came out in somewhere about 82 with the Atari Game System. And this is a new Atari game system. It's not really by Atari. It's by another company that I picked up on Indiegogo maybe about a year and a half ago. And they are releasing a new VCS model that basically has 100 and something Atari games inside. As you can see, the Atari 2600 came out in 1982. And the VCS, I'm going to say it was announced in 2000 or 2018, but it was just started delivering it, matter of fact, last month. It's produced, I said, it's not by Atari Corporation. It was revealed in June of 2017 by Indiegogo. Anybody familiar with Indiegogo? It's a fundraising type thing that you back a product that you see on your computer, and you can back it. So when it first came out, and here again, that since you know that the club started out as Atari Club, and I'm sort of elucidated by this Atari namesake, so I bought one. I backed them and purchased one. But I ended up getting the collector edition. And I got this on the 28th of December, so it was my late Christmas present. And like I said, I backed them in June of 2018. And I have collector's edition numbers 1727 out of the 6,000 units that they're producing. So I'm not too far down the list. The system, basically, the operating system is Ubuntu. It's basically a Linux operating system. It has a CPU, which is a Radeon processor, 8 gigs of memory. It uses a 32 gig flash drive system, has a graphic card in it, and has HDMI output, HDMI 2 output. So basically, you can hook it up to your TV or a monitor or whatever and play some of the classic Atari games.
Pad in between.
Okay. I have mine downstairs connected to Wi-Fi, so it uses the internet. Especially when I first got it, it took about 20 minutes for it to upgrade the BIOS and a few other things. It's got USB ports in the front and in the back. The ports in the back, you can hook up maybe another hard drive or a UPS drive or a flash drive or whatever. But it has 2 USB ports in the front, which you can hook up the game controller. But the game controllers are also Wi-Fi. But I found out that hooking them up directly, you get better response. And it has an SD card slot in the back. But this unit is upgradable. And basically what I mean by upgradable, it's actually a portable, it's a small computer. So I haven't done it yet since I've only had it a little over a week. But you can install Windows 10 on it. You can install Linux on it. You can upgrade it to 64 gigabytes of RAM, which is maximum. And it has a slot in the back. If you pull the back off of it, you can put an SD drive in it to give it more memory and more storage space. But these are things that I basically have learned by looking on YouTube, because in the last couple of weeks, people have been getting this device, and they've been putting videos up on YouTube. Okay, as I said, it comes like the classic Atari joystick, but this one here is a little different because it has, the little handle actually swivels. So for those of you who may have had an Atari 800, they used to have a paddle type game, but this one here, you can use the joystick actually and swivel for the those types of games. And it's very sensitive. And like I said, you can either hook it up wired or you can use it Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. And the same thing with the modern controller. The game controller sort of looks like the game controller that comes with the Xbox and a few others. If you want to purchase the joysticks, they're around about $49, $59, depending which one you want to get. Now, as I said, it comes with a classic Atari games, which is, if you liked the Atari games, Asteroid, Centipede, Missile Commands. Those are 3 that I actually played. Well, I'm going to say that I'm not actually a gamer, because when I founded the club, this is not a gamer club. We actually were a computer club, unlike the club up in Milwaukee, which Dean and Dave belonged to. They were actually a big gamers club, and some of the people up there are still gamers, but we all have our own little niches. Okay, and that's basically all I got to say about this at this point in time, because here again, I've only had it a little over a week, so I haven't really dug into it too much. Any questions?
Yeah, I do, JJ. It sounds like if you could put Windows 10 on it and beef up the RAM and so forth, as though you could use it as a computer, as you said you did in the early days. So is there a keyboard for it, or how?
You can buy a wireless keyboard and hook it up to it, which I haven't done yet, but here I plan on doing that. And you can actually scroll to, and I've had it hooked up to my TV and actually access Windows on it, because it has a PC mode in it, which I didn't put a screenshot on.
Okay.
But you can actually do that. So like I said, it's basically a gaming system, which is actually a computer.
Yeah.
It's if you look at what the processor and everything, it's basically a computer in an Atari 2600 case. Okay. Any other questions?
I would think that if you have the USB ports on the front, that you could put a USB keyboard into it.
You can put a USB keyboard in it, and I've seen other people, as I said, use wireless keyboards. Like I said, I've been following this thing on YouTube the last couple of weeks, and see. Matter of fact, one guy, as soon as he took it apart, as soon as he got it, he tore it apart to see what is inside of it. The only problem with is the memory itself. You got to pull the whole motherboard off and unscrew it to flip it over to get to the extra memory. And he had a problem where he disconnected one of the wires and had to solder it back when he did that. But if you want to go through that process, like I said, the unit I got is the classic unit, came with 8 gigs of memory, or 8 gigs of memory, and they have another unit that comes with 4 gigs. But At this point in time, I don't plan on putting any more memory in it. Maybe later on. If I do put Windows on it, I may upgrade the memory. Anybody else? Any other questions?
One other thing, JJ, if you did upgrade it to Windows 10 or whatever, would you then be losing all the games?
No.
Okay.
They're buried in the operating system. They're part of the operating system or part of the installed system. It's just an app. It's like running a dual boot system.
Dual boot.
Yeah. Like I said, you can also install Linux if you want to, which I've been thinking about playing around with Linux for a while. So I might, actually install Linux because I do. One of the groups, one of the clubs that I sort of Zoom with, monthly is a Linux class or a Linux networking group. So I might play around with that. But going to Linux here again, it's like going back to the DOS days and typing in command lines and stuff like that. And it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. But Lester's not here today. He can probably, clarify the point of and some of the reasons for running Linux. Anybody else out here run Linux or played around with it?
I did. A while back, I have an old desktop that wasn't working all that well. And so I downloaded Linux Mint Cinnamon, I think it was. It was 2-3 years ago. And you can load it on a computer. You don't have to install it. You can just use it, put it on a floppy disk or a disk, a CD, a DVD-ROM, and put it in your computer. And you can use it from that without installing it, or you can install it on your computer. But I just did it, play around with it, and I never really used it for anything. I just wanted to see if I could install it.
One of the guys I saw on YouTube actually installed, he had Ubuntu, I think is the name of the operating system for Unix, or Linux rather. He put it onto a flash drive and installed it onto the Atari VCS. And one of the groups the Columbus computer group, they have Linux SIG, and they talked one of the girls to installing a Linux system on one of her old notebooks a couple of weeks ago. So, but here again, like something I might play around with in the future, especially if we're locked up too much longer in the house.
Yeah. Now,
something else to do.
Are they going to be issuing new games for this?
Yes, I just got an email from them yesterday. There's a lot of new games in the pipelines. There's some upgrades coming up in the pipelines. Like I said, this is a new system. As I said, it took them 2.5 years to get the system online. And as a backer, they kept sending me emails on the stages that they were in as they were building this system. And as I said, it took me 2.5 years to get one. So it was just something nostalgic that I wanted. And basically here again, it's not really by Atari Corporation, but it's got the Atari name. And here again, I'm a Atari nut.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. When you mentioned Unix and DOS, is there any way to download a directory of files? Because I've been using a PC, an old HP with a 64-bit architecture. And when I want to get the files and the directories and the subdirectories, I go to the command prompt. I go to DOS, and I use a DOS command to print out that directory to a Word file. And that's the only workaround I know. Is there some other sensible way of getting a list of files, the directories, subdirectories, and the files themselves? And then I usually want the create and mod dates on them.
Other than what you just mentioned here again, back to the days where I used to play around with DOS and the command line, that's about the only way I know. I know there used to be a couple of programs out there that allow you to download and print your directories, but I haven't done anything like that in years.
Yeah, WordPerfect used to many, many years ago. But okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, let's see what we got next. Fitbit. Well, Linda talked about her Apple, and here again, I'm not an Apple person other than my Apple Watch and my Apple iPad, but I've been using Fitbits for health and fitness for quite a few years. And a couple of months ago, Fitbit released the Fitbit Sense, and I've upgraded from the Versa to the Fitbit Sense to the Charge and other versions. But essentially everything Linda talked about on her Apple Watch, you can do the same thing with the Fitbit Sense. The only thing that's missing that I'm looking forward to that they're talking about coming out with is the fall detection, which the Fitbit does not have. You know, I've fallen and I can't get up, or where's the beef and all the other stuff. But it's another wearable health device that is out right now. So basically here again, like everything else, you can do sleep tracking, silent alarms, like if I want to wake up in the morning, I don't want a loud alarm. Here again, it vibrates on my wrist to wake me up. It's a smart awake that just wakes you up, like a snooze. And the sleep stages, which I use quite a bit and keep track of my sleep and how well I slept at night. But these are just some of the features. And I believe the Apple Watch probably has the same thing in it. But there's quite a bit of talk now about these advanced health smartwatches, and along with Fitbit, Apple, I know Samsung has one out, and most of them all do the same thing. The Fitbit Sense also has what is known as voice assistance, but what I like about the Fitbit over the Apple Watch is that I can get almost 6 days of battery life, although I don't do that because I usually charge it when I go take a shower, which is every day or so, or a couple of days. And from what I understand about the Apple Watch, you may get a day, maybe 2 days out of it, depending on how much you use. And this one here, I can at least wear it 3 to 4 days without charging, but usually I remind myself to put it on charge before I take a shower. Although it is water resistance, and I don't go swimming with it. And right now I'm not doing the polar plunge, so I'm not worried about that either. Okay. It has hundreds of clock faces, which you can change the clock faces. There's tons of downloadable apps. There is a Fitbit Pay. I know Apple has an Apple Pay that you can use it on to just, you know, using a charge card or whatever, credit card on it, and pay for things you buy at the store. The basic goal in this is exercise, so it keeps track of your exercise steps and things like that. The new thing about this is that it has built-in GPS, and unlike some of the devices where you need your phone with you when you go walking, you don't actually need to have your phone with you when you're walking. And unlike here again, the Apple, you can use the Fitbit on iOS, Apple devices, or Android, so it works with both types of systems. Okay, as I said, all day activity tracking, sleep tracking, 24/7 heart monitoring, EDA, which is a sensor, temperature sensor. It just got approval for the ECG, which is checking for AFib. And one of the new features, I believe the Apple Watch also has that, is this oxygen sensor that tracks your SpO2 levels in your body. And these are things that you can actually, you know, print out, and if you have your doctor's appointment, you can show your doctor how your body is doing. Looking at the watch itself, on the back of it has several new sensors that senses all these things that I talked about. So it has a really bright display, which you can see in daylight with no problem. And the back also has a charger. I know Mike has had a Fitbit in the past, and the chargers have been sort of clumsy, but this one here has a really nice snap-on charger that all you got to do is put it on as magnetic, which we'll show you a little bit later. Okay. The main thing I use my Fitbit for is steps, how many steps I do today. And I think Linda mentioned about hers, so you can set an alarm to get up and move every, you know, couple hours or whatever. It tracks how many floors you take or how many steps or flights of steps you take. And being that I have a tri-level, it'll keep track every time I go up and down the steps. It tracks your miles and calories. And the little chart to the right, you can see here again, this is my sleep tracking or sleep tracking. It shows you how well you sleep as far as your restoration, tells you about your REM sleep, your deep sleep, and everything else. And it keeps track of, you know, with the ECG, how calm you are. I know at the beginning of the November, really, when we had the election, a couple people, I was really stressed, but here again, and I told it that I was stressed. but I'm better now. Anyhow, with this SP02, you can see that it keeps a track of your oxygen levels in your body. And as long as your oxygen levels are between 90 and 100, you're in pretty good shape. Anything lower than that, you should go think about maybe making an appointment with your doctor. And as far as ECG, basically here again, it's like taking a cardiograph. You can check your heart levels, heart rhythms. And there's tons of other things that you can do within this. For example, the health metrics, your breathing rate. This one here shows your breathing rates and tells you how many breaths per minute you're taking. And this just shows the track through the week. And you can see maybe in your high levels, you're breathing probably the day that you exercise. And then your low levels is probably the day that you didn't do much in rest. As far as heart rate, range, you can see here again, at a point in time, you can see that your heart variations were kind of high. Skin temperature measures this at night. Now, one of the things I recently found out about the skin temperature, if you have a high skin temperature, which it measures at night, and it starts elevating over a couple of days, you might want to go see your doctor because these are signs that you may have this COVID because your skin temperature is increasing. So it just gives you a warning that something may be wrong with your body.
JJ?
Yes.
Yeah, may I interrupt you a second?
Go ahead.
We're not seeing any change in screens. Are you changing screens?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen any change in screens.
I am.
You have?
No, I'm
Yeah, I have.
too.
Right now it's on skin temperature. You see skin temperature?
No,
Yeah.
I see the last of your Atari, the Atari thing, and then in the upper right-hand corner, Fitbit Health and Fitness. My screen has not been changing.
I'm seeing changes because I'm using my second monitor and I'm seeing the changes you guys are seeing.
Oh.
Anybody else not seeing changes?
I'm seeing changes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing changes.
I see
Oh.
changes.
Then I see changes.
Okay, I don't know why I'm not.
You're frozen, Dean.
That's odd. Okay.
Under view options, I have viewer and JJ Johnson's screen. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, you're seeing both my screens here again, like I said.
Okay. Tell you what, I'm going to leave and come right back in.
Okay. And now we're down to the oxygen saturation, which is your oxygen level. As I said, as long as your oxygen level is between 90 and 100, usually mine's around about 94, 95. So, you know, I'm getting a nice, a lot of oxygen in my body. So this is just another thing that you, one of the things that takes care of. Recent sleeping is about 93. And then last here again, resting heart rate, excuse me. And your resting heart rate, like I said, at night really goes down. And if you're not moving around quite a bit, you can see that your resting heart rate is pretty low. Right now, since I'm moving around, I'm looking at my Fitbit, my resting heart rate, and my heart rate is about 76, which is high. But I'm not resting right now, so I'm talking, so you can see it's a little high. But it will keep track of that during the week or the day or whatever that you want to. As I talk about the Snap-on charger, this is what the back looks like, and this is what the charger looks like. And it says it's a lot simpler than the other watches because all you got to do is put that device, a charger on the back, and it sort of snaps in place because it's magnetic.
Magnet just goes on there.
Okay.
And you can get a full charge in about 40 minutes. So if you're walking out the door and, you know, you might want to put it on charge for 10 or 12 minutes, and you get a sufficient amount of charge for, you know, if you're only going to be gone for a couple of hours. The thing about the Fitbit app on your phone, it'll warn you when the Fitbit charge is low. So when mine gets down to around about 12% or even lower than that, lower than that, it will definitely give you a warning to put it on charge. And I think the Apple probably does the same thing. But like I said, I've been a Fitbit user for quite a while. This is the charger
sitting here.
snapped onto the back. Like the Apple Watch, there are tons and tons of bands that you can put on, multi-colors, multi-designs that you can use for wristbands. And it's very easy because all you push a little button on the back and it slides right in and out. Unlike the Fitbit that I had, which was sort of a problem removing and replacing the bands, but this one here is very easy. And the bands run you anywhere from $29 and up, depending on what kind of design you want. As I said, there were faces, tons and tons of faces. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for.
Wow.
Some of them are goofy.
Wow.
But whatever that you want, you know, for your desire that you want for a clock face, you can get it. Right now, I just want to basically tell the time. I want to tell the date, my heart rate, and how many steps. That's the basic. But if you want footballs or whatever, Easter bunnies or cat running, whatever, they're available. As I said, a lot are free and a lot are you have to pay for. The thing about them, if you slide your screen on your Fitbit to the right, you'll run across the screen that says watch faces, and you can store up to 5 watch faces on your phone. So the one is I keep on there that I don't keep, I show all the time is the oxygen. But if I want to check my oxygen out, it takes about 30 seconds. I can change to that face. Okay, that's the Fitbit. Any questions?
No. How many people use one of these watches like this Apple Watch or some version of Fitbit or Samsung's watch?
We do.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we
I've had a Fitbit for years.
Yeah.
I also use one for my steps.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they're good, and here again they're getting smarter and smarter. But here again, like I said, I follow my steps, and I know when I've been sitting around too darn long. It's like right now, I only have 204 steps this morning, and that's basically been from the bedroom to the kitchen to up here. So I gotta get out and move some more, especially after this. I might get out and walk around the block. Although I've seen snow in my next door neighbor, he didn't plow. One of the things I did do this year, though, I bought a new snowblower last year, which I didn't get a chance to use. We only had one snowstorm, and that was a week after I got my brand new knee. So my neighbor came out and plowed me out, shoveled me out. But I did get a chance to use my new snowblower this year. Now, if I don't get to use it anymore this year, I'll be happy. And I didn't put my new snowblower. I didn't put my new snowblower in this PowerPoint because that was last year that I bought it. Any other questions? Okay, moving right along.
Oh,
This is a niche type device. Yes. Was there a question?
No, I said Santa was good to you this year.
Yes. This is a niche type device. And as I mentioned before, I join Senior Tech for Seniors every Monday. And they have an hour presentation, and usually they talk about new devices or what's new in the tech world and a few other things. But a couple of months ago, one of the guys started talking about this device called a Stream Deck. And so I've been looking it up and pondering whether or not that I needed this or what I could do with it. And then about 2 weeks ago, one of the guys from Tech for Seniors did a presentation on the Stream Deck and showed how he uses it. Ron Brown, who is sort of the lead for this Tech for Senior thing, he has one on his desk. And I kept seeing it, and then I said, okay, now I realize I want one, I need one, I can use one. And it's another, LCAC has a theme called Members Helping Members, and our underlying theme is Members Helping Members Spend Money. And Tech for Seniors is the same thing. Members helping members spend money. Anyhow, what the Stream Deck is a customizable control pad which you can control your computer with. It has 15 keys for switching. You can launch media programs. You can adjust audio programs. And it's, like I said, it's completely customizable. I have one sitting on my desk. And being that I host a couple of Zoom meetings a month, I have full control of the Zoom meeting, which is, like I said, I'll talk about muting my microphone, audio, sharing, and all this is just at the touch of a button with the Stream Deck. It's basically designed for game capture, and here again, like I said, streaming, which a lot of gamers do because they're doing a lot of other things and not what I'm not doing. But they got this OBS Lab is basically something the streamers use, and people on YouTube can use it for moving around YouTube. And it can also control your smart lights, which I haven't done yet, but it's something that we'll probably get done with the next month or so. I have smart lights in my office, and you can control them with the Stream Deck. I don't know why, because I can tell Alexa to do the same thing, but I don't know. I do things that I don't know why it's duplicating something that I can do otherwise. This is my messy desk. As you can see, my Stream Deck sitting in the front. Over on the right-hand side, you can see my Alexa. I have an Apple iPad on my desk and a whole bunch of computers. The little thing hanging over the top up there is my Over the Cat on the right-hand side is actually my camera that I'm looking at right now. But as you can see here again, I'm doing dual monitors, zooming, and I can control my zoom with just the touch of a button. Closer look at it. As I said, the keys are customizable, so you can put anything that you want on these keyboards and keypads. This is a little closer up on my Stream Deck. As you can see, the www is websites that I go into quite a bit, and I can just push that button, and it has a subdirectory of all the websites that I go into. But as you can see on the main screen, it goes into like Facebook, Amazon, YouTube, Netflix, APCUG, which is our big umbrella club. And there's one called Atari Inside. I think that belongs to LCACE. Crafty and Unity. Unity is the two of the programs I use or websites I go to for training. My credit union, and the bottom right-hand side is actually my calendar. So I can just push a button and go right into my calendar. All this basically does here again is just a quick way of getting to these files without going through my mouse and shuffling around and finding it on my screen and clicking on it. So I have quick access to all these different programs and websites.
How does that connect to your computer, JJ?
It's wired into my USB.
Okay.
I have a USB hub behind my monitors, and everything's wired into it. Yeah. I do a lot of Photoshop, Lightroom tutorials, my video editing programs, and you see the bottom second row on the front is YouTube itself. Zoom itself, which I go into. The other line is all my video programs, and like I said, everything is at the touch of a button. And here again, as I said, you can have subdirectories or submenus up under it to go into. And the thing about it, each individual button, if you create a folder, as we talked about folders before, you can create different commands within the program, and you can do like 15 different levels under that. And we go to the next screen, you can see this is what my Zoom button looks like. As I said, I can mute the video, I can turn the video off, I can share. I have 3 cameras hooked up to my computer, so I can switch between 3 cameras, which I've done for other presentations I've done for like the Waukegan Senior Center, where I actually have 1 camera over my keyboard and 1 behind me that I can set up to show actually my screens, and I can mute all and a few other things. But all of this is at the touch of a button instead of moving your mouse around and going down and clicking on the bottom of the screen. But like I said, I'm a techie and I'm into a whole bunch of weird stuff. So anyhow.
Where did you get that?
Where?
Yeah.
Just a second, I'll tell you about it. This is the screen here again that you can go into and customize your buttons. And on the right-hand side, it gives you a list of either launch a program, create folders, go to a website or whatever. And then you put that in your button. And then you can actually go onto their website or actually anywhere on the internet and find different icons and put in your own icons. Like this one guy has a picture of himself in there, or whatever you want to use for the icons. As far as where I got this at, the company is named Elgato, and Elgato is a device for actually video editing. I think Dave Gish a couple of weeks ago and we talked about using a digital video camera for a webcam, and I'll show it later on when I get back on the screen. But Elgato had a camera link on that was selling for about $100 and something bucks. And then I found a similar device for 25 bucks on Amazon. But the Stream Deck is also sold by Elgato. And if you go on their website, they have a 9-button version, 15-button version, and a 32-button version. I got the 15-button version. The price for this is $149, but I also buy products from Adorama, which is another camera site, and I got it for $139. Okay, so you can shop around and get it a little cheaper, but the normal price for the 15-button is $149. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Best Buy has it also.
Who?
Best Buy.
Yeah, what's Best Buy want it for?
Yeah,
$149?
149 or 100, yeah, 149.
But I said I went to Adorama and I got mine for $139.
That's good. Oh, good deal. Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, if you're looking for a quick way to access programs, files, whatever, and you do a lot of zooming like I do, it comes in very handy. So that's one of the reasons I bought it. All right. Okay, any questions about the Stream Deck? My question, guys, is walking around waiting for somebody to say something. Just waiting. I like putting the presentations and animations together. All right, carrying on. As I talked to earlier in the meeting, I was asking Phil to maybe set up a show and tell maybe in June.
Okay.
And I have 2 other products that I'm not going to talk about today, but I'll save those until June because I haven't really put a full presentation together. The iPad Pro is something that came out earlier last year, which I jumped on, and I got the top of the line there, and I really enjoy it. Matter of fact, it has basically replaced my laptop. I got the pencil and I got the Snap-on tablet, and I'm really enjoying it. And I carry it with me. I use it more, than anything else because I carry it downstairs. You can sit on the lap, and the keyboard is really nice. You can sit on your lap and take notes. As I said, I join Tech for Seniors every Monday, and while I'm sitting there watching their presentation, I'm sitting there taking notes on my iPad sitting in front of me, right in front of my keyboard. So I use it quite a bit. I'm going to say October, November, somewhere thereabouts, my family reunion had a Zoom meeting, and we had a pizza and paint party. And one of the cousins from, I'm going to say DC, Washington, DC area, she's a teacher. He decided to have a drawing contest. Actually, it really wasn't a contest, but we all got to choose what we wanted to draw. She had a couple of choices, and everybody decided on drawing a lizard. And she just told us to bring out a piece of paper and a pencil, but I broke out my iPad and I used my pencil and this painting program within the iPad, and I drew the lizard on a twig, on a stick, and did a multicolored thing about him, on him and everything. And I did it on my iPad, which is really fun. And it's really neat, but like I said, I'll do a full presentation on that a little bit later on the iPad. I know a couple of other people have iPads, and there's just so many things that you can do with this new iPad or the new versions of iPads out there. And then last, here again, I'll talk about this later, and I've been into this now for about 3 years. About 3 years ago, DJI, which is the #1 drone company, they have about 70% of the market, came off the Spark, which I bought in December. Oh, 4 months later, they came out the Mavic Air, and I bought the Mavic Air. And then they waited another year, which I just bought last year, and I got the Mavic Air 2.
It is 757 will be arriving shortly.
But they've already came out with a mini, so I'm not going to step down to a mini. So anyhow, that's my 3 drones I have, and I go out and fly around the area. I'm not flying over people's houses, and here again, I'm not flying in restricted areas. I'm not landing it on baseball fields, and there's a lot of regulations out there. Here again, as long as you observe them, you can have fun flying drones.
Yeah.
But there are stupid people out there making it hard for us. But anyhow, drones are fun.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And you have any questions?
Yeah, I think
No
you covered
questions?
everything.
All right.
Okay.
Beat me out, Scotty.
Thank you, JJ. That was impressive. Anybody else have anything?
I have a question.
Sure.
JJ, where is that tech class for seniors?
Tech for Seniors is every Monday at 11 o'clock our time. It's coming out of Ron Brown's out of Canada and a couple other people out of Florida and Oklahoma. But I got your email. I got your email address, and I'll send it out to the members.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Just
online.
Look it
Yeah,
up, Tech for
online.
Seniors.
Yeah.
I know Gary L is on there. I think the board's been there once or twice, but like I said, it's only an hour, and maybe it may go a little bit past the hour, and have a Q&A. But they come in and Huey, they got Huey, Dewey, Ron, and Ray. Those are the three guys that do this darn thing. But they have Ron may talk about something. He's an ex-doctor. He's the lead for this. And Huey comes up with a vast report, tells you about what's going on in the world of technology. And Dewey comes in and shows something else. And Ray Baxter usually talks about what's going on in the world of music. Okay, basically he goes back into nostalgic music. Like last week, he talked about the McGuire sisters and did a little video about the McGuire sisters. I think I put in a newsletter that Phyllis McGuire died on the 28th of December, so he talked about that and had a video. But it's interesting for an hour on Monday mornings.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got anything?
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. Stay safe out there. Sign up for vaccination if you haven't already done that. And
Where do you sign up, Bill?
what county do you live in, Gary?
Lake County.
Okay.
Lake County Health Department's got to sign up.
Read my column in the newsletter, Gary.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you still using a track phone for your cell phone provider?
I am.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I got an email from Lake County Health the other day, but here again, like I said, I'm on the list.
Yeah.
So depending on whether Lake County comes out, I'm also a veteran, so either veteran hospital or Lake County, whichever comes first, I'm getting mine. I know the VA is giving out already because Judy's daughter works at the VA and she got hers the other day.
Yeah, the Lake County, you sign up and then they ask you to give some personal information about your age and your health and all that good stuff. So they can kind of slot you in priority. And I told them that I was 92 and had diabetes and I'm pregnant. So I'm counting on getting my email anytime soon now.
Yeah, I signed up for them also, but I haven't signed up for the VA. So thank you for mentioning that.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, folks. Take care. Stay warm, and we'll see you in February.
Same time, same channel.
Same time.
Okay.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash.
Good night.
Wherever you are.
Yeah.
Good night, Gracie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice to see everybody.